Part 1 of 7. Emotional Mastery starts with you. Have you ever had one of those days where a single comment or someone's careless behavior completely threw you off balance? Maybe it was a rude remark, a dismissive look, or just a little inconvenience that somehow spiraled into a storm inside your head. It's frustrating, right? But here's the truth. No one can control your emotions unless you let them. Let's start with a simple idea. What if you could go through your entire day with a deep, unshakable peace, the kind that doesn't get rattled no matter what someone says or does? What if the little annoyances, the criticisms, the unexpected changes didn't touch you at all? That's not a fantasy. That's emotional mastery. And in this video, we're going to unpack 10 transformative lessons that will help you stop reacting impulsively, let go of anger, and take full control over your emotional responses. We're not talking about ignoring your feelings or pretending not to care. This isn't about becoming numb. This is about strength, the kind that lets you handle life's chaos with grace and clarity. Whether you're dealing with passive-aggressive coworkers, ungrateful friends, or just traffic that seems personally out to get you, these are tools that will help you protect your peace and move through life with calm confidence. So, if you're ready to learn how to never let someone else ruin your day again, let's begin. 1. Realize your reactions are always your choice. Let's paint a picture. You're having a great morning, you've got your coffee, the weather's nice, maybe you're even humming your favorite song. Then out of nowhere, someone cuts you off in traffic, or maybe they say something rude in a meeting. Your heart rate spikes. You get angry, and the rest of your day is poisoned by that moment. But pause for a second. Ask yourself, did they really ruin your day? Or did you give them the power to do that? Here's the truth. Your emotions are your responsibility, not your bosses, not your partners, not the stranger who looked at you the wrong way. You choose how to respond always. Think of it like noise-canceling headphones. The chaos of the world doesn't disappear, but you can choose whether or not to let it in. That's what emotional mastery is. You don't suppress your feelings. You simply decide how much power they get. There's a quote that perfectly sums it up. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space, that pause, is your power. Let's say someone criticizes your work. You can snap back. You can fume for hours. Or you can pause. You can breathe. You can ask yourself, is this really about me? Or are they projecting their own stress bias or insecurity? That moment of reflection changes everything. Suddenly, you're in control, not your emotions. A simple 3-step strategy: pause and name the emotion. I feel angry. I feel hurt. Labeling it helps break the autopilot reaction. Ask why. Is it truly what happened that upset you, or the way you interpreted it? Choose your response. Make decisions based on your values and long-term peace, not short-term heat. This isn't about becoming passive. It's about becoming powerful. Every single time you pause before reacting, you're strengthening a muscle, the muscle of choice. 2. Stop expecting people to act like you. Now let's be honest. One of the biggest sources of frustration in our lives: expectations. You're kind to others, so you expect kindness back. You show up for people, so you expect them to show up for you. But when you need them, silence. And boom, disappointment hits like a wave. You think, I would never treat someone like that. Here's the hard truth. People don't live by your rules. They live by theirs. Expecting people to think, behave, or respond like you is like yelling at the weather for raining when you planned a picnic. It doesn't change anything. It only makes you more upset. Let me give you an example. Imagine a colleague who constantly interrupts you during meetings. Every single time. You feel disrespected. You could seethe. You could make a snide comment. Or you could remind yourself, this is their habit, not my responsibility. You're not responsible for their behavior, but you are responsible for your peace. By releasing the expectation that they'll change, you're freeing yourself from the emotional roller coaster. There's a quote that hits hard. Expectations are the root of all suffering. The more you expect people to follow your script, the more frustrated you become when they don't. A practical exercise to let go of expectations. Notice what you're expecting. I expected them to call me back. I expected them to say thank you. Ask yourself, is this realistic? Are you expecting someone to behave exactly like you? Based on your values, refocus your energy. Instead of trying to control people, focus on how you respond when they fall short. Imagine how much lighter your life would feel if you stopped giving others so much power over your mood. You'd be unstoppable. Here's the core mindset shift. People are who they are, not who you want them to be. Accepting that doesn't mean you tolerate bad behavior. It means you prioritize your peace over your need to control the uncontrollable. So, next time someone lets you down or acts in a way you wouldn't, pause and remind yourself, they're acting from their nature, not mine. And I choose my reaction every time. That's the beginning of emotional freedom. Part 2 of 7. The freedom of letting go, of being right. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you got into an argument not because you needed to solve anything, but because you just had to be right? Maybe it was over something small like the right route to take. Or maybe it was deeper, a clash with someone you really care about. And before you knew it, the conversation turned into a battle. You weren't listening anymore. You were defending, correcting, trying to prove your version of the truth. We've all been there. But here's what most of us forget in the heat of those moments. Needing to be right all the time is exhausting. Why do we do it? Because deep down, we fear that if we're wrong, we're somehow less than. It touches our ego. It whispers things like, if you let them win this, you'll lose respect. You'll lose control. But here's the truth. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to correct every opinion. You don't need to be right to be at peace. There's a powerful question you can ask yourself every time you feel the urge to argue. Would I rather be right? Or would I rather be calm? Because most of the time being right doesn't change the outcome. It just burns your energy. Let's take a look at a real-world example. Let's say a friend insists their method of handling a situation is better than yours. Now you could launch into your logic side examples, even raise your voice. You could debate for an hour trying to prove your way is the right way. Or you could simply say, I see where you're coming from. Thanks for sharing that. Boom! No escalation, no drama, just calm. You've just chosen peace over pride. This doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you understand that not every disagreement needs to be resolved in your favor. And that, ironically, makes you stronger. The Taoist philosopher Lao Tzu said, He who is attached to his views will never grow. Growth requires humility, and humility says, I don't have to prove I'm right to know my value. A three-step practice for letting go of the need to be right. Pause before responding. When you feel that fire rise in your chest, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Seek understanding, not victory. Get curious instead of combative. Ask questions like, how did you come to that conclusion? Instead of saying, that's wrong. Pick your battles. Not every opinion deserves your energy. Save your voice for issues that truly matter to your values or your life. Here's the magic of this mindset. The moment you stop needing to win, you start to feel lighter. Conversations become smoother. Your day flows easier. You're not drained from mental back and forths that lead nowhere. You stop being pulled into every debate, and suddenly you realize being calm feels way better than being right. Let me shift gears and bring you into another common trap. Letting other people's words define your worth. It's subtle, but powerful. Think about this. Have you ever felt super excited about something, maybe an idea, a new project, a passion, and then someone said something like, that's interesting, or you really think that's a good idea? And just like that, your confidence shrank. You started second-guessing yourself. You felt small. Why does this happen? Because you let their words become a mirror for your identity, and you forgot the most important truth. Your worth is not up for debate. Your value doesn't come from other people. It doesn't come from their compliments. It doesn't come from their criticisms. It doesn't come from how many likes, retweets, or validation points you collect. Your worth is built in, and when you rely on other people to tell you you're good enough, smart enough, successful enough, you hand them the remote control to your emotions. That's a dangerous game, because the same people who lift you up one day might tear you down the next. Let's say a coworker gives you harsh feedback. Not helpful, not constructive, just rude. Now you could spiral, replay their words over and over, doubt your talent, feel crushed. Or you could pause and say to yourself, their comment is a reflection of them, not of me. You detach your worth from their words, and just like that, you take back your power. There's a quote from Marcus Aurelius that hits the nail on the head. We love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own. How crazy is that? You've lived every second of your life. You know your struggles, your growth, your intent, and yet we often let a stranger's comment carry more weight than our own self-belief. Let's change that. 3 tools to protect your sense of worth. Pause before reacting. If someone's words sting, take a breath. Let the initial wave of emotion pass. Separate fact from opinion. Ask, is what they said true, or is it just their perspective? Keep what helps. Let go of what doesn't. Reaffirm your value. Remind yourself, I don't need anyone's approval to be worthy. Lao Tzu also said, care about what others think, and you will always be their prisoner. Let that sink in. Letting go of the need for validation doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It just means you stop letting their opinions control your self-image. A simple question to ask yourself in these moments. Am I letting this define me? Or am I choosing to define myself? Because when you define yourself, when you know your worth, deep down, no one's words can shake you. And that is freedom. ChatGPT de Janoi, Part 3 of 7. Set boundaries. Protect your energy. Let's talk about something most people struggle with, yet rarely get taught how to do properly. Setting boundaries. And no, I'm not talking about building walls to shut people out. I'm talking about drawing clear, healthy lines around your time, your energy, your emotional space, so you don't burn out trying to keep everyone else happy. Let's be real. You've had moments when a friend called you out of the blue asking for a favor you didn't have time for, or a coworker dumped a last-minute task on you assuming you'd just say yes. And you did say yes, even though inside you were screaming, "Why does no one respect my time?" Here's the thing. It's not their job to respect your boundaries. It's your job to communicate and uphold them. Why it's so hard to say no. We often associate saying no with guilt. We worry about hurting people's feelings. We're afraid of seeming rude, selfish, or uncaring. But here's what we forget. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you're saying no to your own well-being. There's a powerful truth here. You can't pour from an empty cup. When you give too much too often without refilling yourself, you end up exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from what really matters to you. Let's flip the script. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's self-respect. It teaches others how to treat you. And more importantly, it teaches you how to protect your peace. Here's a quick real-life scenario. You're that friend everyone leans on. The listener, the fixer, the one who always picks up no matter what time it is. But lately, it's been draining. You barely have space to think, let alone rest. What do? You set a boundary. You say, "I care about you, but I need to keep my evenings to myself. Let's talk tomorrow." That's not rude. That's clarity. That's choosing long-term peace over short-term discomfort. Remember this quote from Epictetus: "Freedom is the ability to live as we wish." And how do you live as you wish? By choosing where your energy goes instead of letting others decide for you. 3 steps to start. Setting boundaries. Today, be clear and honest. Speak directly without guilt. Most people respect boundaries when they're communicated calmly and kindly. Example: "I need quiet time after work, so I won't be answering messages after 7 p.m. Use I statements. Focus on your needs, not blaming others. Instead of saying, "You're always bothering me," try, "I need some space in the evenings to recharge." Stick to them. Consistency is key. The first time someone tests your boundary, they're not being malicious. They're learning how serious you are. Don't bend just to avoid awkwardness. Teach with action. One big mindset shift. When someone oversteps your boundaries, it's not entirely their fault if you never set or enforce them clearly. People aren't mind readers. They'll keep taking what you silently give. So next time you feel overwhelmed or taken for granted, pause and ask, have I been clear about what I need? Am I honoring my own boundaries? If not, start now. Start small. Start firm. Think of boundaries as filters, not fences. They don't block love or connection. They filter out the chaos, the overload, the overcommitment, so that the best parts of you can actually shine. And when you protect your energy, you're not giving people less of you. You're giving them the best version of you, the one that's rested, grounded, and real. Now let's talk about something closely tied to boundaries: detaching from the opinions of others. Because here's the truth. Even if you set great boundaries, even if you take care of yourself. If you're still chasing other people's approval, you're handing them the remote control to your peace. Why do we crave validation? It's wired into us. From childhood, we're taught to seek praise, avoid rejection, fit in. But that survival mechanism can become a prison, because the more you rely on people's approval to feel good about yourself, the more fragile your confidence becomes. Let's say you speak up in a group. You share an idea you're genuinely proud of, and someone replies with a smirk or a passive-aggressive comment. Ouch! It stings. But now ask yourself, why does their opinion carry so much weight? Did they live your life? Did they walk in your shoes? Do they truly understand your heart? Probably not. So why let their passing judgment dictate your emotional weather? The Stoic response. Here's a gem from Epictetus. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Oof, that one hits deep, but he's right. Sometimes growth means being misunderstood. Sometimes staying true to yourself means walking alone for a bit. And that's okay. 3 ways to detach from opinions that don't serve you. Question the source. When someone criticizes or judges, you ask, do they really know me? Do they live by values I respect? Reaffirm your own values. Ground yourself in what you stand for, not what others expect of you. Write it down. Say it out loud. Live it. Let the noise float by. Picture their words like leaves on a river. You see them, but you don't pick them up. Just let them drift. One key reminder, your path is your own. It's too important to be swayed by fleeting opinions. You're not here to please everyone. You're here to live fully, truthfully, boldly, even if that makes others uncomfortable. In the next part, we'll explore a tool most people overlook when they're triggered or angry, the incredible power of silence. Part 4 of 7. The power of silence, winning without speaking. Let's say you're in a heated moment. Someone says something cruel. They push your buttons. They're trying to get a reaction, maybe even provoke a full-blown argument. And your body reacts. Your heart starts pounding. Your face gets hot. And in your head, you're already scripting the perfect comeback. But what if, instead of saying anything, you just stayed silent? Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to value your peace over proving a point. That right there is emotional strength, and it's one of the most powerful tools you have. Silence isn't defeat, it's strategy. A lot of people think that if you don't respond, you're conceding, that you're letting the other person win. But in reality, you're winning a bigger game, the one inside your own mind. Because, let's be honest, how often do we regret what we said in anger? Words thrown out like daggers. Words we can't take back. Moments where a few seconds of silence could have saved an entire relationship, or at least a good night's sleep. There's a quote by Marcus Aurelius that says, "The best answer to anger is silence." Why? Because anger feeds on reaction. It wants to grow. It wants you to yell, argue, fuel the fire. But silence starves anger. Silence says, you don't control me. Real life scenario. You're in a meeting. A coworker throws you under the bus in front of your team. Everyone's watching. You could lash out, or you could take a breath look at them and say nothing. Let their words hang awkwardly in the air. You maintain your calm. You stay grounded. Suddenly, everyone sees the contrast, their pettiness, versus your poise. You didn't need to raise your voice. You didn't need to win a debate. Your silence said more than 1,000 words ever could. Think of silence as a shield. It doesn't ignore the problem. It just buys you time to process, reflect, and decide your next move with clarity. 3. Simple ways to use. Silence powerfully. Pause before reacting. When something triggers you, don't respond immediately. Let the emotion settle. Give it space. Listen without defending. Sometimes people just want to be heard, even if they're wrong. Let them finish. Then decide if a response is truly needed. Speak only when necessary. If you do respond, keep it calm, clear, and brief. There's a Buddhist saying, speak only if it improves upon the silence. Silence doesn't mean suppression. You're not bottling things up. You're not avoiding real conversations. You're simply choosing the right moment and the right energy to speak your truth. It's not about saying less. It's about saying better. Think about this. How much pain in your life came from things that were said in the heat of the moment? What if next time, instead of replying instantly, you just breathed, waited, and walked away? If needed, that's not weakness. That's emotional maturity. That's owning your space, not letting it be invaded by other people's chaos. And when you live like that, choosing calm over conflict, something amazing happens. Your silence starts speaking for you. People notice. They respect it. They learn they can't shake you so easily. And more importantly, you respect yourself more. Now let's talk about a practice that can completely transform how you experience those angry or chaotic moments from the inside out. It's not complicated. It doesn't require hours of meditation. It's just one word: gratitude. Gratitude and anger can't live in the same moment. Try it. Try being truly grateful and furious at the same time. You can't. It's like trying to walk in two directions at once. Gratitude is the emotional reset button. It breaks the cycle of, why is this happening to me, and flips the lens to, what do I still have? Let's paint the picture. You're stuck in traffic. You're late. Your day's falling apart. Your first instinct? Curse the cars. Blame the city. Slam the steering wheel. But then you pause and you think, at least I have a car. At least I'm safe. At least I get to hear this song on the radio right now. Is it cheesy, maybe? But does it work? Absolutely. That moment of thankfulness rewires your emotional reaction. Cicero said, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. Because when you live in a grateful mindset, everything shifts. You become more patient, more present, more resilient. You realize that not everything is going wrong. Your mind is just focused on the few things that are. A practical gratitude. Routine. When you're triggered, pause and name 3 things you're thankful for. Doesn't matter how small. A warm coffee, a soft hoodie, a moment of sunlight. Keep a gratitude journal. Every night, write down 3 things that went well today. Train your brain to look for the good, even on hard days. Reframe negativity. When something bad happens, ask, what can I be grateful for in this moment? Example, let's say someone criticizes you harshly. Instead of getting defensive, you pause and say, you know what, I'm grateful I even had the courage to share something. That matters more than their opinion. Gratitude doesn't erase conflict. It softens your reaction. It gives you perspective. It brings you back to what actually matters. There's an old teaching that says, if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. If we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. If we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us be thankful. That's real perspective. That's gratitude in action. Gratitude isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing to focus on what's still good even when everything feels hard. It's your way of saying, yes, this is tough, but I'm still standing, and there's still beauty around me. Part 5 of 7, Turning Criticism into Fuel for Growth. Let's be honest, no one enjoys being criticized. Whether it's someone tearing apart your work, doubting your decisions, or judging your lifestyle, that stings real. Your first instinct, defensiveness, frustration, maybe even a little shame. And that's completely normal. But here's the shift that changes everything. Criticism isn't always an attack. Sometimes it's a mirror, a tool, a stepping stone. If you can learn to look at it differently, you unlock one of the most powerful emotional tools of all, feedback, that helps you grow. Why criticism feels so personal. When someone criticizes us, especially harshly, it can feel like they're not just questioning what we did, they're questioning who we are. And that's where the pain comes from. But what if you paused and asked, is this really about me? Or is it about their own standards, expectations, or insecurities? Because here's the truth. Criticism always reveals more about the critic than the target. Let's say you share something you're proud of, maybe an idea at work or a creative project online. Someone quickly responds with, "This doesn't make sense. That's not how I would have done it." Ouch! Your heart sinks. Your confidence wavers. But now you have a choice. You can let that comment live rent-free in your mind, or you can look for value in it. You can ask, is there anything useful here? Can this help me improve? If the answer is yes, take it. Use it, grow. If not, let it go. No explanations required. A timeless reminder. Criticism, like rain, should be gentle enough to nourish growth without destroying roots. So, how do you know which kind of rain you're dealing with? 3-step strategy for handling criticism. With grace, pause before reacting. Don't defend. Don't attack. Don't spiral. Just breathe. Let the emotion pass. Evaluate the source. Is this person giving feedback from a place of wisdom, experience, or care, or are they projecting, venting, or seeking control? Find the lesson. Even poorly delivered feedback can hold a hidden gem. Ask yourself, is there truth here, even if I don't like how it was said? Real-life example. Let's say you present an idea, and someone tells you, this is all wrong. It doesn't make sense. That hits hard. But instead of shutting down or lashing out, you say, okay, I'll think about that. Appreciate the feedback. You've just done 3 things at once. You stayed calm. You preserved your dignity. You kept the door open for improvement. That's how leaders respond. What about criticism from people close to you? That's where it gets tricky. Because when criticism comes from someone you love, a parent, a partner, a friend, it can feel like betrayal. But again, pause. Ask yourself, is this about me, or is it about their fears, their worldview, their limitations? Sometimes people criticize what they don't understand. Sometimes they project their own regrets onto you. Sometimes they want to keep you safe by keeping you small. You don't have to take it personally. You can hear them without absorbing them. Epictetus once said, if someone speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. Simply say, He does not know the rest of my flaws, otherwise he would have mentioned them too. Now that's confidence. That's the kind of emotional detachment that allows you to grow without being crushed. Criticism is a filter. Use it to filter what's worth your time, what's worth improving, what's worth letting go. Every piece of criticism is either a lesson, a reflection of the other person, or noise. Learn to tell the difference. Quick check-in questions. What is this feedback really about? Does it align with my values or goals? Can I learn something here, even if I don't like how it was said? If the answer is yes, let it grow you. If not, let it go. It's not your job to be understood by everyone. Now, there's one final emotional trap we need to talk about, and it's one of the most dangerous, draining habits of all. Holding on to anger, grudges, resentment, revenge fantasies. You know the feeling, replaying a moment over and over, waiting for justice, waiting for karma. But here's what you might not realize. Anger doesn't hurt them. It only burns you. The hot coal analogy. Imagine holding a burning coal in your hand, ready to throw it at someone who hurt you. But while you wait, it's your hand that's getting scorched. That's what holding on to anger does. It's not strength. It's slow self-destruction. Let's be clear. Letting go doesn't mean excusing. You don't have to pretend it didn't happen. You don't have to forgive right away. You don't have to invite toxic people back into your life. But you do have to stop letting them live in your head rent-free. Because every moment you spend clinging to the past is a moment you're not living in the present. What if you let go? What if you could release that emotional weight? What if you stopped waiting for an apology that may never come? What if you said, I'm done giving this pain power over me? That's not weakness. That's freedom. 3 steps to mastering the art of letting go. Acknowledge your emotions. Don't suppress them. Don't numb them. Say, I feel hurt. I feel betrayed. Name it without judgment. Reframe the experience. Ask, what did I learn from this? How did it shape who I am today? Refocus on the present. The past is unchangeable. The future is unknown. But right now, you're in control. Let the past float away like a balloon. It served its lesson. Now, it's time to move forward. Lao Tzu said, when I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. And that includes letting go of the hurt, the labels, the need for revenge. You're not what happened to you. You're what you choose to become afterward. Part 6 of 7, How to Make Emotional Mastery a Daily Habit. So far, we've gone through some of the most powerful tools for emotional strength, understanding that your reactions are your choice, releasing expectations of others, letting go of the need to be right, not letting other people's words define your worth, setting boundaries, detaching from opinions, using silence as power, practicing gratitude, embracing criticism as growth, and finally, letting go of anger. Now, the real question is, how do you make all of this stick? Because it's one thing to feel inspired after a video. It's another to actually live it when you're stuck in traffic, your inbox is exploding, or someone just pushed every last one of your buttons. Emotional mastery isn't about being perfect. It's about practice. Let's walk through how you can embed these lessons into your daily life so they don't just sound good. They work for you. 1. Start. every day with a centering question. Before you even check your phone, ask yourself, what do I want to bring into today, peace or chaos? This simple check-in sets the tone. You're choosing to respond, not react. You're setting your internal thermostat so no matter how wild the weather gets, you stay grounded. You can also write it on a sticky note, put it on your mirror, or use it as your phone wallpaper. Make it a daily reminder, I protect my peace. 2. Use the pause. This is the most underrated skill in emotional intelligence. The pause. That tiny moment between stimulus and response. It's where all your power lives. Before you speak, before you text back, before you send that email you'll regret, pause. Just breathe. Even 3 seconds is enough to shift you out of reaction mode and into intention mode. In those 3 seconds, ask, what kind of person do I want to be right now? You'll be shocked at how often that pause saves your energy, your relationships, and your dignity. 3. Keep a triggers journal. Every day for just 1 week, write down 3 things that triggered you. It could be big or small. Someone cut in front of me at the store. My co-worker ignored my suggestion. A friend didn't text back. Then next to each one, write what you felt, how you reacted, what you could choose to do differently next time. This isn't about judging yourself. It's about becoming aware of your patterns. Awareness is the first step to freedom. 4. Schedule time for gratitude. Like literally, you don't need to become a monk to practice gratitude. Just build it into your day the same way you brush your teeth. During your morning coffee, think of one thing you're thankful for. At lunch, text a friend, something kind. At night, jot down 3 things that went right, no matter how small. Over time, you'll notice your brain starts scanning for what's good instead of what's wrong. And that changes everything. 5. Practice saying no without explaining. Here's a life-changing truth. No is a complete sentence. You don't need to justify every boundary. You don't need to give a 5-paragraph explanation for why you can't make it, why you don't want to, or why your time matters. Start with small things. I won't be able to make it. I need some downtime tonight. I'm focusing on something else right now. Say it with kindness. Say it with calm. But say it and stick to it. The world won't fall apart when you say no, but your world might start healing. 6. Choose your circle wisely. This one matters more than most people realize. Who you surround yourself with will shape your emotions, for better or worse. If you're constantly around people who gossip, complain, criticize, drain your energy, it's going to be 10 times harder to stay centered. You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do need to filter who gets access to your emotional space. Build a circle of people who respect your boundaries, encourage your growth, speak with intention, challenge you with love, because emotional mastery isn't just about inner work. It's also about creating a supportive environment that helps you stay aligned. 7. Reframe everything as training. This is the real key. When someone frustrates you, when your plans fall apart, when your patience is tested, instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? Try asking, what is this training me for? That tiny reframe changes you from a victim of life to a student of life. Now every challenge becomes a lesson. Every annoyance becomes a workout for your emotional muscles. Here's a practical example. You're stuck on hold with customer service for 45 minutes. Old reaction, rage, complaints, venting. New reaction. This is patience training. This is focus training. This is silence training. That small shift gives meaning to the discomfort, and meaning creates resilience. 8. End the day with reflection, not regret. At night, take 2 minutes to ask, what triggered me today? What did I handle well? What can I do better tomorrow? This isn't a guilt trip. It's a growth ritual. It keeps you accountable, and it reminds you that you're always evolving. Because emotional mastery isn't a finish line. It's a practice, a rhythm, a commitment to staying centered in a world that constantly pulls you off balance. In the final part, we'll tie it all together. Part 7 of 7. Living unbothered, your final blueprint for emotional mastery. So here we are, the final stretch. We've unpacked mindset shifts, practical tools, ancient wisdom, and modern strategies to help you stay calm, clear, and emotionally strong, no matter what life throws your way. But before we close this chapter, let's do a full recap and give you a clear, powerful reminder. Emotional freedom isn't a gift. It's not luck. It's not something only Zen people have. It's a daily decision, a lifestyle that you build. Let's walk through your 10 core lessons, your blueprint to becoming truly unshakable. 1. Your reactions are always your choice. The world can trigger you, but it can't control you unless you let it. Pause, breathe, choose who you want to be in that moment. You're not a puppet. You're the one holding the strings. 2. Stop expecting people to act like you. Disappointment often comes not from what people do, but from what we expected them to do. Let people be who they are. Release the scripts in your head. Focus on how you respond, not how they behave. 3. Let go of the need to always be right. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. Would you rather be right or at peace? Release the grip. You'll find that silence often carries more power than any rebuttal. 4. Don't let other people's words define you. Someone's comment, no matter how loud, doesn't rewrite your worth. Take what helps, leave what harms. Their opinion is not your identity. 5. Set boundaries without guilt. Boundaries are not walls. They're filters for your peace. If you don't protect your energy, someone else will use it for their benefit. Learn to say no. Learn to say it kindly and mean it. 6. Detach from opinions that don't serve you. You weren't born to please everyone. You were born to be real, not liked. The moment you stop caring about every external judgment is the moment you reclaim your power. Live for your values, not their validation. 7. Respond with silence, not anger. Not every insult needs a comeback. Not every fight deserves your voice. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing and walk away. Silence is not weakness, it's control. 8. Practice gratitude, especially when you're angry. Gratitude and anger cannot share the same room. When life feels like it's falling apart, gratitude reminds you of what's still standing. It's the flashlight you use to navigate the dark. 9. Reframe criticism as feedback for growth. Criticism isn't always an attack. Sometimes it's a clue. Use it to improve, not to spiral. Filter wisely. Accept what helps. Discard the rest. 10. Master the art of letting go. Holding on to pain doesn't hurt them. It only weighs you down. Let go. Not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So, what? Now, what happens after the video ends? What happens when you close the tab and life gets loud again? Here's what happens. You choose. You choose to return to these lessons, to apply them not just when things are easy, but especially when they're hard. You pause before snapping. You journal your triggers. You breathe when emotions rise. You walk away when silence is louder. You say no when it protects your peace. You say thank you even when things don't go your way. And each time you do even just little, you become unbothered. Not numb, not cold, just centered, solid. A final note to you. Let's be real. Life won't stop testing you. People will still be rude. Plans will still fall apart. Criticism will still come your way. Triggers will still show up at the worst times. But now you have something most people never develop. Tools, awareness, inner strength. You've built the muscle to pause instead of react. You've learned to protect your energy like your life depends on it because, honestly, your peace does. And most importantly, you've realized you don't need the world to change for you to feel calm. You just need to change how you meet the world. If this journey helped you, share it with someone who needs it. We all know people living in constant emotional chaos, not because the world is too harsh, but because they haven't yet learned how to master their responses. And if you've made it this far, you're not just watching a video. You're doing the inner work most people avoid. Respect that. Honor it. Show up for yourself even when no one's clapping. Because this life, your peace, your joy, your clarity, it's not just a hope. It's something you build. One pause, one choice, one boundary, one breath at a time.